Should you go all in? That's the question of the day. This is a question I would often ask myself every time I'm going to make a big decision or a big change in my life. Should I go all in? Now, this question offers a lot of nuance and honestly, a lot of problems. This is insinuating that if you go all in, that's the only possible way. Let's discuss that in detail today. So first, let's look at the cons of going all in. Going all in comes with, it depends on what you're going all in to. Going all in assumes that this is the only way possible. So going all in assumes that you have no other options, that you can't do some sort of middle ground. Is the middle ground the most effective way to do things? No, but often it is necessary because we live in a world of extremes, and on social media, we are exposed to that toxic culture. The extremes of these situations, of the people that we see and perceive as successful, they've all made a huge change. They all made a big discovery. They all did something that no one else around them did. They were misunderstood by everyone. But that's not necessarily true all the time. They did have other options. They just chose to go the most extreme route. So you should have other options. If you literally have no other options, then going all in will not help you win in the long run. Going all in is rarely the best case scenario. So you have no options, that is a huge con. You should look for more options. If you can't find any more options, this likely isn't for you. Now, if we go next, you should find other options if possible. I'm so sorry, there's a lot of police around here. It's kind of distracting. Now, there's no options. Jesus, I lost my train of thought. What the hell is going on? Whatever. The next con is you're on a time limit. This question originally is posed to people who are thinking of quitting their job, dropping out of school, anything like that. If you do that, you're on a time limit. This could be a tangible limit or a perceived limit. A tangible limit is like you only have about 3 to 4 months to be successful, or else you run out of money, your parents kick you out, things like that. The perceived time limit is you give yourself an arbitrary number, such as a year, to be successful, and then you don't even define success very well. If you only give yourself a year to be successful, and you don't win in that year, then you're going to give up, and you're likely not going to try again. That's what I don't like about going all in. Not trying again is the biggest way to fail because you tried it once and it didn't work. You gave yourself a short time limit. You didn't give yourself enough time to learn, to grow, and honestly, success usually takes most people a lot of time. And it's not time in the way that we think of it. Success takes time in the way that it compounds your skills, your attributes, everything you need to know, the money you need to put in, all that compounds and grows over time. Next, we're going to be looking at the last con that I see, the big major problem. I kind of hinted on it last time, but you give up. Giving up isn't necessarily a huge failure because you can always try again, but if you go all in and it doesn't work, you're less likely to try again and you're less likely to do that again. Moderation is the most important thing when it comes to success. Moderation means you need to temper your expectations, you need to temper your lifestyle, and also you need to develop. Usually it happens slowly. And if you fail going all in, that just tells you subconsciously that your best wasn't good enough. And your best will never be good enough, whether you do it now, whether you do it later, whether you do it next year, and you'll never try again. Or it'll hurt your ego so bad that you'll pretend like it never happened. Let's look at the pros now. The pros are all a little bit different. And yes, there are pros to going all in. And we're going to take from one of the cons. There's a time limit. Because you have either a perceived or tangible time limit, that means you're going to try harder. You're going to try to win earlier. And sometimes that works. Sometimes that arbitrary time limit or that tangible physical time limit when your back's against the wall helps you and you win and you succeed. But like I said in the cons, this can work against you. But this will push you to be more successful. This will push you to try harder. Now, another pro is that you're going to learn quicker. If you go all in, you have no distractions, you have nothing else to do. This is going to be your main focus. You're going to learn quicker, you're going to succeed quicker, and you're going to do things much quicker. The last pro I'm going to say is it was a good shot. It was a good try. If you tried, if you went all in, that's better than never trying at all. That's typically what you want. You want to try when other people won't. Trying is better than not trying. If you don't go all in and this is the only way you can perceive trying to be successful, then that is it. That is all it is. But it is a try nonetheless. The more you try, the more likely you're going to succeed. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. I'd rather you try to succeed and fail than never try at all. So let's go back to the original question. Like I said, this question is posed to people who are thinking of making a radical, drastic change in their lives. Should you go all in? Maybe. Maybe you should go all in. I don't necessarily think so. My honest opinion is that going all in usually leads to disappointment. And not just disappointment, but it feels like a categorical, total failure on your part if it doesn't work. And if you feel like that, you'll never succeed. You won't try. You won't win again. You'll just give up. And that's not what you want. You want to try to win. And you don't want to just try to win once if it doesn't work out the first time. You want to try 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tries if you have to. If you're 80 years old and you've done everything and you've tried everything and it doesn't work, then that is what your destiny was. But I think people shouldn't go all in. I think people should save money. I think they should learn about something before they go all in, before they quit that job, before they leave school. I think people should study. I think people should learn, should grow in their own personal lives, to fail multiple times before going all in is worth it. I think you should grow something slowly. Grow your skill set. Grow your options. Figure out what you like in life before you go all in. That's rarely the best answer. If you really wanted success, if you really wanted to change your life, you would take little steps every day to do it. And that compounds, that grows, that becomes easier and better with time. Now, did I go all in? At first, no. I only went all in after I was successful. Once I became successful, that's when I started trying. That's when I started doing better. That's when I could go all in. When I had a safety net. When I built what I needed to. But maybe if this is your only option, if this is your only way out, try to see if there's another way. There's always other options out there, whether you perceive them or not. And if you don't see any other options, try to learn if there are. And if there really are no other options, your back's against the wall, then do it. And if you do it, just know that if it didn't work, it's not 100% your fault. Maybe you just weren't ready. Maybe you didn't know enough. But if it doesn't work, more importantly than anything else, you should try again. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, let me know. Subscribe. Maybe I'll do another one. See ya.